Hey UConn Nation, it's KK Arnold here. If you're looking for the latest UConn women's basketball content, go subscribe to Listen Up to Phil and Ryan. Go Huskies!
Thank you, KK, Phil, and Ryan on Listen Up Election Day in the United States, Ryan. And we thank everybody for joining us today on this beautiful Tuesday as we finally wrap up this player series. I was going to say once brought to you by Dempsey's and Sportsland. We appreciate them, Ryan, for getting us off to a great start. This podcast, we love all of you all. Like, comment, and subscribe. Ryan, not much else to say. And I'll just leave it up to you to tell them who's last on the list. Actually, what, first, last, however you want to say it. Oh, man. Arguably one of the best to ever walk through the doors at UConn, right? We heard that from another head coach last season. And not only that, I'll stick by my word. Now, I'm afraid to say this because obviously they can't be around forever, but just this specific season, if this player is lost, God forbid, I think that the title hopes are totally dashed.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know about that, but yeah, I mean, it definitely
Ooh.
would be it would be certainly a big loss because of course we've lost Paige Bueckers before for a whole season and yeah, one time, after that. But yeah, I mean, obviously Paige Bueckers last player on the list, certainly not least, but it doesn't seem like that long ago that Paige lit the world on fire as a freshman, and UConn obviously came up just short of the championship, losing in the Final Four to Arizona. And at the end of her freshman season, Paige received a couple big awards: Nancy Lieberman Award, Wooden Award, and Naismith Award. So pretty big deal. And she was also named AP Player of the Year and received first team AP All-American honors. And unfortunately, after that, we're all too familiar with how the story goes because it happens with almost every single player on this roster. The injury bug strikes, and Paige got injured in the middle of her sophomore season, was able to return at the end of February and finish the year and almost lead UConn to a championship, but again, just fell short in the championship game to South Carolina. And then, of course, like I just mentioned, Paige missed the entire 2022 to 23 season when she tore her ACL during the off season. And of course, that was heartbreaking for all of us and all of America, pretty much losing, like you said, one of the best players, in the game. And we weren't too sure if she would be able to be 100% at the start of last year, but luckily she proved all of us wrong. She was 100% to start the year, quickly put her name back on the map as one of the top players in all of women's college basketball. And Paige started in 39 games last year, averaged 22 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and a block and a half per game. Just an incredible year. And you could argue it was even better than her freshman season numbers. But as we know, Huskies came up just short again in heartbreaking fashion. But Paige did receive first team AP All American honors. And now, of course, we arrive at Bueckers' final season of college basketball. Of course, we're all so happy she decided to come back and hopefully finish the job of lifting that national championship trophy. And of course, there's been so much pressure for Paige and this team to win it ever since she arrived on campus. In all 3 years she's played, they've came up short. And the big question is obviously, can this finally be the year that she rides into the sunset and is able to lift that trophy?
Hey, I'd love to hear from great words, Ryan. I appreciate you a lot. I'd love to hear from you on this and everybody else. Comment below, especially you, Jason. Yeah, especially you. Hey, Ryan, what's the chances that Paige Bueckers wins AP Player of the Year? Obviously, this most likely would be the last season at UConn, or will be. She won it in 2021. What's the chances she does it again?
Well, there's no Caitlin Clark now, so that's good for her calls to win the Player of the Year. But we certainly have a couple other candidates. Of course, Juju Watkins, only a
Mm,
sophomore, of course, but she's definitely in the running. Another USC player, Kiki Arifin's probably in the run too. Of course,
mhm.
Lauren Betts. I mean, there's so many names. Rory Harmon from Texas, maybe. But yeah, I mean, Paige was probably at the top of that list of honorary candidates to win that award. But of course, it probably comes down to if she can stay healthy and if she does like she did last season, is able to play and start in every single game. I'd say there's a pretty good chance, especially if she can have those similar numbers like she did last year, where she absolutely torched everybody she played.
Yeah, expected to go number one overall next year in the WNBA draft. You know, Ryan, she grew up supporting none other than the Minnesota Link of the WNBA. So it'll be very I don't know, has the draft lottery came out yet as far as the WNBA? I don't think so. So we don't know who's picking at one, but it'd be very interesting. It would be wild to see her go to Minnesota when after obviously her hometown where she was born, Minnesota. So Ryan, yeah, I can't wait because like we've all witnessed since you're right, since she stepped on stage here, that she has been the leader of this team, no doubt. And the team, no matter how many more freshmen you bring in, right, the team revolves around Paige Bueckers. You know, it's that simple. And I told you the other day, I'm like, Ryan, um, what did I tell you? I tell you so much, I can't even think of, of what I'm telling you. But yeah, no, I mean, nonetheless, don't take any second for granted when she's on the floor. It's going to get good. Let me tell you, Ryan. I wanted to get your take on this very quickly, and then we'll switch over to comments. It's good that we're breaking down Paige Bueckers after this exhibition game because credit Maggie Benoni for this from CT Insider. I wanted to read you this very quickly just to see your thoughts. Maybe you look way into it, or maybe you don't. One of the biggest tests for the Husky squad will be how they play without Bueckers on the floor. Ariema sat his star briefly in the first half, and immediately the pace slowed down. When she sat the majority of the fourth, Ariema was disappointed with the team's lack of leadership, especially when Strong and or Chen were also off the court. And that came from CT Insider.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, of course, it's an exhibition game. They played Fort Hays State, all of that kind of stuff. But I think it is possibly pretty big news, even though it didn't count towards the record or anything. Because certainly, I mean, we just talked about Caitlin Chen, and you guys have been saying it in the comments about her veteran leadership and how much that's going to play into the team this year and how much that's going to matter. So hopefully, obviously her first kind of game with UConn, and hopefully, Kaylin can work on that with the team as she plays more with her teammates during the season. And I think her leadership will continue to improve as the season goes along. But yeah, I think, certainly there's a couple of talented freshmen on this team that are going to get minutes. And of course, KK Arnold, Ashlyn Shade are going to get a ton of minutes too. And KK talked about how she wanted to be a more vocal leader for her teammates on the court. So I think certainly when Paige Bueckers does need a rest on the bench, and when we have those moments when she's not on the court, there certainly needs to be a couple players that need to step up and put themselves in that role of being a more vocal leader on the court when Paige is not on the court.
All right, let's go. Jason D'Amico said, I am about to offer a very unpopular take, so I apologize in advance, but I call it as I see it. I'm not as high on Caitlin Chen as many are. I was able to watch the game and I saw a lot of sloppy play from her. Really bad turnovers, bad shot selection, terrible lateral movement on defense. Players were beating her off the ball to her left and her right. She plays too close, not knowing where she needs to be on the court. Paige literally had to push her into position a few times because she didn't know where or what player to cover. Truth is, I was never high on Chen, and she was on Princeton. We need a secondary leader who can carry this team when Paige is not on the floor. I apologize, but I don't think she is that leader, at least not yet.
I definitely don't disagree, and I think, of course, like I just mentioned, it's the first game for Kaylin with all her new teammates, so I don't really want to jump the gun just yet on Kaylin Chen not being a good leader for this team and not a good player because we know she is certainly both of those things. And like I just said, I expect her to get better as the season goes along, as she gets more practice, more playing time and certainly a lot more in-game, fast-paced action when these games actually start counting. And of course, we have one of those games in 2 days. But yeah, I certainly think Caitlin Chen will be one of the biggest players on this team as the season comes to an end, as we go into playoff time. But yeah, I think it's going to just take maybe a little bit for Caitlin to get adapted into her role on this team. And that's why I said about her not being in the starting lineup right away because I think it takes a little bit of time for those things to happen. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and Ryan, I'm definitely no way am I giving up on Caitlin Chen yet. And I'll tell you what, a lot of comments post exhibition game on this list that I'm looking at. So I'm not going against what Jason said. Yeah, there's always doubt, right, about new players coming in. But man, look, it's still way too early. It's still way too early. I have to go against Jason D'Amico on that one. I'm sorry, Jason. Let's go over to Stevie Kinsey. Thank you, Stevie. He said, these new Huskies are not afraid to shoot threes based on that exhibition. Was hoping to see the ball inside a bit more. This team will improve each game. It's wild, right, Ryan? I told you last season, maybe the season before, I love to see more deep ones from downtown, like you and I call them. Downtown, way downtown. Man, I hope I see some more from downtown this year.
Yeah, I think we probably will. We have a lot of talented shooters on this team, and certainly it's only going to improve when AZ and Caroline and Aubrey, hopefully those three can eventually return, and we're going to have even more firepower on offense. But, we certainly have four very talented, healthy forwards on this team. Of course, Ayana may not be 100% yet, but I think getting the ball down inside is definitely an emphasis, but definitely would like to see more 3-point attempts. Of course, when Lou Lopez left us last season, Gino was kind of talking about the lack of 3-point attempts, and he wanted to see those go up, and we kind of saw that during the end of the season. So certainly with all the talented shooters we have on this team, all the talented guards, and even some of the forwards now can shoot the 3-point ball. So yeah, I would love to see a lot of 3-point attempts this year.
All right, Ryan, you ready?
I
You
I think
ready?
I'm ready. Yeah.
Look, one more time, and I have to soak it in while we're on, right? I mean, right here. That's it. I mean, that's possibly the last time. I mean, we'll always remember her, but hey, now I got to get KK Arnold up there sooner or later. I promise KK that. But I'm telling you, man, this is really it. Such a huge Beckers fan, such a big UConn fan. Look, we love talking UConn basketball. It's gonna be emotional. This could be it, the grand finale, what they call it. So look, Ryan, I'll leave you with this. Uh, Arguably the best team that we've had on while talking about this podcast. Let's see if Paige Bueckers can take advantage of that. And I think she really will. I think all of her teammates around her will really step up and come together as one, just like this country should, right? And let me tell you this, Ryan. Tomorrow we'll be back with everybody for what will it be tomorrow? What video?
The very first last check-in, hard to believe.
Last check-in video. Oh my goodness. With that, I'm starting to get a headache, Brian. Too many bright lights. So I'll turn these off and I will see you tomorrow on Listen Up.